Hey, how's it going, guys? It's your boy Blu-rayDave back with another Star Wars movie review. Hopefully you enjoyed the last one, which was Attack of the Clones. Now, of course, we are going in timeline order, like I've said before. Like, we are gonna get right away on the Clone Wars movie. Yep, the official theatrical release. Now, guys, hopefully some of you guys were planning to ask me this question. Like, if you would have asked me, what is the best movie of 2008? My, automatic answer right away is this movie. Some of you might have expected, oh, what about Iron Man, or what about The Dark Knight? Like, sure, there was a lot of good films in 2008, but I definitely consider this the number one movie 2008. Like, oh my gosh, this movie, it definitely started the Clone Wars, for sure. Like, this series is both George Lucas's and Dave Filoni's passion project, really, because, sure, George, he teased it all the way back in 1977, and the fact that we still have it here today, like, oh my gosh. So yeah, just so that we're clear with this movie review, guys, like I said, I'm only going to review the movie here, not the whole series as much as I would like to, and plus there's so many arcs, right? So yes, as you can see here, I have both releases. The Target exclusive for this one, both Blu-ray and DVD. Imagine if this came on VHS, but then again, VHS wasn't really around 2008 anymore, so... Oh man, seriously, this movie, in my honest opinion, guys, should have been PG-13. Just like the series itself should have been TV-14. Because it's still funny to this day. I still hear a lot of stories like, oh, the Clone Wars is a kid's show. A kid's show, huh? Keep telling yourself that. Oh, if only you knew the amount of crap that goes on in this series, but like, oh my gosh. Now, if you guys don't remember, the 2003 Clone Wars series is obviously the first series. It ran for 3 seasons. Hopefully Dave didn't forget that some of these designs are from that show, and some of the voice actors from that original series came back. Like I said, some of them, not all of them, because if you know, with Anakin's voice actors throughout the series are different, right? I cannot stop talking about Ahsoka Episode 5 because, oh man, Bryce Dallas Howard was not wrong. She definitely delivered. Like, when she had that quote last year, like, oh, the Clone Wars fans are going to be pleased or whatever, like, thank you. Like, it means so much more when you watch the series, guys. It won't mean anything to you, like that episode, if you don't watch this, okay? Remember, if you're into Star Wars, you can't be biased about the series, okay? Like, regardless if it's, like, animated, right? Like, oh my gosh. And you guys know this is my number one TV show of all time, right? Oh, man. Again, the one thing about the Clone Wars series is that they weren't really consistent with their arcs. Not all the time, just, like... Sometimes, if you had one arc in, like, a continuing span of the episodes, like, that's good, but, like, with this movie, it's missing 2 parts. Yep. It's missing Season 2, Episode 16, Cat and Mouse, and Season 1, Episode 16, The Hidden Enemy. So I will talk about those first. Seriously, this movie, guys, it's... Oh, man. I remember back in the day when I was still getting into Star Wars, I thought this was the first season. So really, guys, what you gotta do is you gotta watch those 2 episodes first and then this movie. Like, I cannot watch this movie first without watching the first 2. And, oh, man. So... let's talk about Season 2, Episode 16, Cat and Mouse. So, it's not like the movie where the movie introduces, like, oh, immediately after Attack of the Clones, right? Like, we'll get to that. Which, I have a theory, guys, because I want to talk about this, too, in this video, like, Dave announcing the Clone Wars trilogy. Like, there could be some potential re-release with this. So I'm hoping that he'll add the 2 episodes with this movie, like just like recut it and all that. So we get to Christophsis, right? Senator Bail Organa's on the planet helping the people, and Obi-Wan shows Anakin the cloaked ship. And of course, there is a Empire Strikes Back reference into this. Like, no ship that small has a cloaking device, right? Like, well, that one that they use that looks like a torpedo, it does, right? Oh man! If you hear my cat in the background, he's going crazy. And of course, technically, this will be the very first time we get to see Admiral Yularen, especially in animation form. And he goes with Anakin's squad, and he has a lot of doubts in Anakin because, Anakin doesn't like to play by the rules. Just like me, right? So yeah, the Separatists. We get to, oh my gosh, what the heck is this guy's name? He's an alien spider, right? Like, George Lucas took a lot of animals in real life and turned them into, like, aliens in Star Wars, right? Admiral Trench. Oh my gosh. And every time he clicked his tongue, I'm not even going to do it, but if you guys have seen episodes when he did that, it would annoy the piss out of me. I like the tactic that Anakin was using, like, because the Separatists were, protecting Christophsis, like, from the Republic trying to get through. So they won't send resources, right? So what Anakin does is that because Trench's ship has the shield on, right? So what Anakin does, he decloaks, and of course Trench fires the missiles, and like I believe they do this twice, and to overheat the shields so they won't get on. And like the last time that they decloaked, and then the missiles went to Trench's ship, like, blam! But you think they killed off Trench right away, right? Nope. It's been a while since I've watched the full series, but, like, as far as I know, in Season 7, that was the last time we got to see him, and, Anakin finally kills the bastard. Yeah. Okay, Season 1, Episode 16, The Hidden Enemy. Oh, man. So they're already on Christophsis, right? And by surprise, the battle droid snuck up on them because they had no idea like how they knew like their plan, their intel, until they find out that one of the comms was on. So somebody was listening. So there's somebody on the inside, right? Like betraying the Republic. Of course, our 2 boys in blue and yellow, Rex and Cody, like they interview / interrogate their troops. I knew there was something off with Slick, like he was trying to play it off. And that was when it clicked. Because when he said, like, when the generals come back, like, Rex and Cody were like, how did you know that they were going to come back? And then Slick is like, I wish you hadn't noticed that. Like, oh my gosh. And I love this. I love this reference, guys, because this is immediately after Attack of the Clones. Guess what? They play some of the soundtrack in there, but of course it's Kevin Kiner's version, right? Like, oh man. So, Anakin and Obi-Wan, they do find, or they at least trying to find the traitor, and they end up finding Asajj Ventress again. That's a technicality that we do see her, because also in the 2003 Clone Wars series, that was when she was first introduced. But again, a technicality, like if you didn't watch this movie first, Season 1, Episode 16 would be the first time you would be reintroduced to Ventress, right? Yeah, and of course Rex and Cody, they have a little plan to trick Slick, like Slick is in the vents and all that, and then they leave a blaster out, but of course it's empty, and again they have a little fight, and again the Attack of the Clones soundtrack plays, like, oh my gosh. And I loved how behind Ventress shows the whole Separatist army, well, like, on her side, And then she's telling that one ugly general from the movie, like, I need to continue in the next phase of my plan. That's where we'll get into with the movie, right? So Anakin and Obi-Wan come back, and, you know, I do agree with Slick. Like, I do feel like the clones were also prisoners to the Republic as well, but, like, because Ventress offered him money, but, you know, she also offered him freedom because, yes, he is a human being too, he's not just a clone, he is a human being. And again, I loved what the Clone Wars did to this series. They humanized the clones, they fixed Anakin and Obi-Wan's brother-like relationship, because even back then, I knew that this series is canon. Of course, it wasn't never paid much attention to by other people, unfortunately, back in the day. Maybe it wasn't as popular as some people thought. I don't know. I could be wrong on that, but, like, I knew in episodes 2 and 3, I never bought their relationship, like their brother, like, relationship. That's why you gotta watch this series, okay? After Attack of the Clones, you need to watch this show, okay? And I love how they expand with Anakin and Padme's marriage here. What else? I fell in love with Ahsoka right away. Like, unfortunately, she had her haters when the movie came out, and boy, did they shut their traps up when she matured as a character and when she made a comeback in Rebels. Yep, you do not diss my girl Ahsoka, and in fact, like, she's just the best female character developed ever in general, not just in Star Wars, okay? And if you have a problem with that, get the heck out of here. Alright, so now we get onto the movie. Okay, if you watch this movie on Disney Plus now, thank God they got rid of the Warner Brothers logo. So it starts off with, okay, so with the Lucasfilm intro, like the old one, and the clones are being attacked. And when that last voiceover goes, like, we need reinforcements, like, and echoing, and then a long time ago in a galaxy far, far away. You gotta remember, this came out in the theaters, guys. I have the soundtrack for the movie, too. And then the intro plays the Clone Wars theme. Like, there's no text, because in the series, almost every episode comes with the text. And when I say almost every episode, I mean in the last 4 episodes of Season 7, which is the Siege of Mandalore, there's no text because that's supposed to be a movie. Okay, you start the series with a movie, you end the series with a movie. Okay, again, the narrator, like, again, if Dave is planning to re-release this on 4K, add those 2 episodes, but, like, keep the narration, like, I love how the narrator says, like, after the Battle of Geonosis, right? Like, oh my gosh. And this is when Ventress's plan starts coming into play. Like, she kidnaps Jabba's son, Rhoda the Huttlet, right? Like, it's unfortunate that, I mean, really the last time we saw Rhoda the Huttlet was in Season 3 of the Clone Wars, but that was it. Dave, you gotta reintroduce that little Huttlet because he's just a little cute bugaboo, you know? I mean, Jabba looks pretty cool in animation form. And besides Anthony Daniels making a comeback, because, you know, he always voices 3PO and everything. Oh, man, guess who makes a final comeback in this? Well, I don't know if I should say final, but, like, okay. Samuel Jackson voicing Mace Windu and Christopher Lee voicing Count Dooku. Honestly, it would have been cool if Christopher Lee would have voiced Dooku for a little bit in the series. Like, how would have that played off? Like, honestly, you should have kept Samuel L. Jackson, you know, for the series as well. I know they have another guy who voices Windu pretty well as well, but just like, oh my gosh. That's when you're in. That's when you're hooked in, right? And by the way, if you guys want to know, there is a Best Buy Steelbook of this movie. I want to get it as well. I should have mentioned that early on. It's Captain Rex on the cover, so that's pretty cool. So yeah, oh man, the Battle of Christophsis, guys, like, the music is just, like, even in the behind the scenes, when you look at the, like, behind the music, it is true what they say, like, it feels like there's a battle playing in the orchestra, and that is so true. Like, that's what John Williams left an impact on this franchise. Like the music, like, it feels like there's already battles in the music, whatever you're listening to, like, oh my gosh. And I love the introduction of Ahsoka here. When Obi-Wan said he's going to have her as his Padawan, but that the plan all along was that Obi-Wan asked Yoda to give Anakin a Padawan, because George knew this back in the day, guys. Anakin did have a Padawan, so what better way to introduce Anakin's Padawan in this show, which is Ahsoka. And I finally learned about, like, why Anakin wasn't, like, ranked Master in Episode 3. Hopefully I'll bring this up again in the Revenge of the Sith review, because he did not get to complete Ahsoka's training because she left the Order. That made it more complicated for Anakin, so that's why he wasn't able to be put on the Council. Well, he was, but not ranked of Master. Hopefully you guys picked up on that. Just seeing their interaction together, like, I love how they got their nicknames, like Sky Guy and Snips. Oh my gosh. And Captain Rex, my boy. This is where I think the best line that Rex ever said. I know there's other ones, but I think this is the best line. You guys should know what I'm talking about. In my book, experience outranks everything. And I love how this movie curses too, like, even in the series itself, they did cuss a little bit, like, yeah, that's just to inform the parents, like, hey, you think this is a kid's show? Well, you thought wrong. Again, this movie should have been PG-13. Yeah. What else? I think another good line that Anakin says to Ahsoka here is, I know this quote, I know this one, hang on. Reckless little one, you never would have made it as Obi-Wan's Padawan, but you might make it as mine. Like, oh man, that just shows how much he cares. And now, he understands what Obi-Wan went through because Obi-Wan trained Anakin. Well, again, Obi-Wan was doing that from the request of his master Qui-Gon, right? But Anakin truly cared for Ahsoka. That's why I like seeing, like, again, that's what makes both Anakin and Ahsoka, like, two of the best Star Wars characters. Like, I know there's other ones, but, like, so both Anakin and Ahsoka and Obi-Wan go on their separate missions. So Obi-Wan goes to Tatooine to negotiate with Jabba. Anakin and Ahsoka bring their clone battalion to the moon Ryloth to find Aurora the Hutt. Again, this is, remember guys, this is all a trap because both Dooku and Sidious, they want the Hutts to join the Separatists so that way they could use their shipping trade routes, you know? And I do agree with Anakin, like, I still don't think dealing with the Hutts is a good idea, but of course Obi-Wan brings that point that I brought up, like, you know they control the shipping routes in the Outer Rim. And if anything were to happen to Jabba's son, yep, that's when Jabba cuts ties. I'm still convinced that the reason why Jabba was a jerk in the original trilogy is because of the Death Watch. Like, Darth Maul was in charge of the Death Watch, and then he convinced him to join them. Like, that doesn't sound far off, right, guys? But let me know in the comments if I'm right or wrong on that, okay? Because it makes such a good, like, point to that, right? It makes so much sense, right? So yeah, and of course, bounty hunters were hired to find the Huttlet, but guess what? Asajj already beat them to it. Well, she was already at the monastery, but she cut off all their heads, even a droid's head. Like, okay, with the droid's head, you could definitely, like, reprogram it, and, like, that's what they should have done at Jabba's palace. Like, even for a movie like this, for a quote-unquote kids movie, like, that was pretty deep. Like, oh my gosh. And Rhoda, he starts out sick because as soon as they find him, like, I could bet that monastery is pretty cold. Like, who knows how long he's been in there? Probably days. You know? And Christopher Lee, spot on. Like I said, I'm pretty convinced that this is his last role in general that he's ever played / voice acted in. Because, oh man, just 3 years later after Revenge of the Sith, like he still has it. Like, I want a Count Dooku prequel project. Really, it could be a Disney Plus series or a movie. Well, maybe a series, but we'll see. Um, and I love that Anakin brings up this line from Qui-Gon: "Nothing happens by accident." Like, when he said that to Ahsoka, like, oh my gosh, like, again, it's like poetry, it needs to rhyme, right? I didn't say that. George Lucas did, alright? He's the man with the plan, alright? He's the ultimate movie director. Of course, the Separatists and Asajj, they invade on the monastery, and our Jedi heroes are trying to leave. Of course, Obi-Wan comes in for backup with Cody. And then we get to see Oddball. Like, we finally get to see Oddball again, like, ever since Revenge of the Sith. Like, we want to know more about his character. Like, he's really just a pilot clone. Hi, Blood. And the old ship that they found on that planet, like, it remained Anakin's ship for a little while, like, only because, like, it could fit both him, Ahsoka, and R2, like, well, not just those three, but, like, anybody else, I do believe the last time we got to see that ship was in season 5, right? And our heroes go to Tatooine, to deliver the Huttlet, and Anakin advises a plan. And, man, another good lightsaber fight with him and Dooku. Anakin with the backpack on, but of course Dooku strikes the backpack, but guess what's inside? Rocks. Of course, Ahsoka and R2 bring the Huttlet back, but of course they're stopped by Magna Guards, and it takes them a little while. I like how R2 is trying to fight them, and then his screams, man, spot on, I swear. And Padme, we gotta involve Padme here, right? Like, she was trying to convince Jabba's uncle Zero the Hutt, who lives on Coruscant, in a nightclub. Oh man, that Hutt is so ridiculous, but he's pretty funny. And Padme won't have it. Like, Zero, because he was working with Dooku in secret, like, because if Anakin were to kill off Jabba, which means Zero would have taken, like, the rank of, like the lead member of the Hutt clan, right? So this would make Zero a great uncle to Rhoda, right? Hopefully they'll introduce him in live action. I believe they killed him off in season 3. Oh, that's so funny. So 3PO tries to call him the comms, right? And of course he sends backup. And guess who comes into the scene? Before he became an a-hole in the rest of the series, Clone Commander Fox, right? And then, like as soon as that bomb goes off, 3PO's like, is anybody home? And then that's when Fox and his boys come in, like, oh man. And then as soon as Anakin and Ahsoka get into the palace, they deliver the Huttlet, but plot twist, I guess, Jabba orders them to be killed off. Like, they delivered your son to you unharmed, Jabba. Like, what the frick? That's when Padme made the last-minute saving call to Jabba, and then that's when Zero confessed that he was part of the conspiracy with Dooku, and Man. So, yes, Jabba is still allowing the Republic to keep their, his trading routes open, so that they'll get supplies, right? But the ending, though, man, I just love the ending where everybody's outside the palace and the Force theme plays, and then that's when the Clone Wars theme comes in the credits. Oh, man. Yeah. I don't know why this movie gets hated on so much, but again, if Dave Filoni is planning to re-release this on 4K, I feel like the extended cut will work. I even made a separate video talking about like why that should work. I'm pretty sure that'll work for a lot of people too. Okay, so I want to talk about the Clone Wars trilogy that Dave is going to release in 2027. Start with the first one. Oh my gosh. Okay, so I still have this post on my Facebook. Hopefully I'll be able to bring it up for you guys. What he wants to do is, first start off on the Battle of Ryloth, because he wants to go in, like, between the arcs. He did state that he wants to go back to the Siege of Mandalore, like, in the perspective of other clones' eyes as well. So save that for the third movie, right? But, like, oh my gosh, just the performance. The performances that we got to see in the live-action Clone Wars flashbacks. Oh, man. Hayden. Oh, man. This is a dream come true, guys. Like, oh, my gosh. Just seeing him and that kid actress. I still don't know her name. I know she was from a Disney show. She knocked it out of the park as young Ahsoka. And Rex, jeez. And I love seeing the fan-made posters that people have been making on social media about the Clone Wars. Like, oh, yeah, like, again, those flashbacks would mean so much more to you if you've watched the entirety of the show. Because, again, you can't be biased, alright? You cannot just like the movies and the live-action shows. You gotta watch the animated stuff, too. But do not watch Star Wars Visions. That's an anime, okay? We don't watch that. Otherwise, Bob the Tomatoes caught you sinning. Seriously, if someone tells you to watch Star Wars Visions, you say, I am not a sinner. I am not a sinner. Okay? And I'm happy that that show is not canon. I don't know what Lucasfilm was thinking when they created that show. Like, I thought the whole point was just to make only, like, in-story projects in there. And, of course, there are the Lego spin-offs that Disney has made as well, but, like, they're not really canon. But also, Ahsoka's outfit that she has worn in that episode and in Tales of the Jedi. So, are we supposed to believe that she was changing outfits between ages 14 and 15? Like, because in Season 3 through Season 5, she got to wear her other outfit, you know. In Season 7, she just kind of wore whatever. What else? I don't know, like, I was fine with her seasons, like, 1 through 3, you know, / movie design, for sure, but, like, hopefully Disney isn't trying to, like, you know, censor anything, because, like, that's part of her design, you know, you can't, like, there's no harm in that, you know, what did Ahsoka do to that, like, that was her first image, right? You could tell a little bit in the first half of Season 3 when she was, you know, maturing up more, right? Like, even her voice was starting to change. Like, that was good. Like, oh, man. Yeah. The Mortis arc, right? Like, that's the Chosen One arc, right? If not, that's probably the Captain Rex arc, right? Like, with the 501st arc. I want them to reintroduce the father, the son, and the daughter. Like, oh, man. Can you imagine if Dave tried to recreate every arc in the trilogy here, so that way, like, especially for the parents, right, who are interested in the Clone Wars. Like, hey, if you don't get a chance to watch the animated stuff, like here's like we're presenting everything to you in these movies here, right? And you could just tell this trilogy is going to trump, and I mean seriously trump the sequels. And yes, guys, Ahsoka, the series, has officially confirmed that the sequel trilogy, episodes 7, 8, and 9, are no longer canon, right? That makes me happy. I'm happy that they introduced the Star Wars multiverse, because I'm convinced that Dave and John are going to bring everything from the expanding universe back into canon. Well, I'm pretty sure... Yes, they need to bring the books back, right? Like, because everything that was released pre-Disney, like, they need to bring them back. Like, oh my gosh, like Starkiller 2, like, Jedi Knights of the Old Republic. Like, I know it's not called that, but, like, I like calling it that. Oh my gosh, guys. I'm still stuck on the first Thrawn book, but I know that's canon. Maybe if there's some way they could bring some parts of the Ahsoka book into canon, because I haven't read that book yet. I probably should. The Battle of Jakku, I feel like that could still be a concept for the main canon, but yeah, just as long as you don't tie it into the sequels, because, the Battle of Jakku, that's like, how long ago was that battle? I know it wasn't immediately after Return of the Jedi, but, like, isn't that something that Thrawn planned? And again, that's a book, too, so, again, there's so much stuff that both Dave and John could literally bring back into canon from the expanded universe. For General Grievous's story, I really want them to just really change it, because I do not like his background in the expanded universe. Like, I don't like the idea of his people treating him as a god. Like, of course, I do want to see the origins of how he was an organic being until he was turned into cyborg. Like, I want to see graphic stuff. Like, I want to see how medical people, like doctors, technicians, they take all of his organs, his eyeballs, and put them into, like, the cybernetic body. Like, oh my gosh. That would be cool. Again, I don't know if a General Grievous Disney Plus series is necessary, or either a movie. I don't know. That could be a hardcore PG-13. But again, that's up for Disney and Lucasfilm to decide. And I know I'll mention this in the next movie review, but Dave released the 4-hour director's cut of Revenge of the Sith. We all need it. We all want it. So please, just give it to us. I swear, like... I know some people would be expecting, like, the Clone Wars and Bad Batch stuff to be in there, but, like, maybe if they did make reshoots in a way to add that onto a potential 4-hour cut of the movie, I'd take it, Yeah. I don't know what else to say. So, yeah, I'll make sure to put that Facebook post up in this video so you guys know that I'm not tricking you, I'm not pulling your leg, because, oh man, this is something that, again, we all desperately need. Like, I can't believe that Dave had this show, the Ahsoka show, planned for a decade, like, when the Clone Wars was ending. Like, that is, like, dedication. Hard work and dedication, guys. Like, gotta trust the man. He knows what he's doing. Alright, guys, this was my movie review of Star Wars: The Clone Wars. Hopefully you guys enjoyed. Please make sure to like, comment, and subscribe if you haven't already. Please on the post notification bell, share my content if you haven't already. And yeah, stay tuned for the Revenge of the Sith movie review. I wanted to get these out of the way as much as possible, guys. Like, oh my gosh. August 2008 when this movie came out. Like I said so many times, if my uncle would have taken me to see this movie in the theaters, I would have loved this, seriously. I would have wanted to know more about Star Wars, you know? And the Clone Wars feels real in a way. I'm pretty sure that's what Dave and George wanted to do. Like, sure, the animation is kind of off. And yes, I will admit, seasons 1 and 2 are pretty crappy, but they're nostalgic too, right? Like, they were the early days of the Clone Wars, right? And then that's when the second half of season 3 going forward to season 7, and now with Bad Batch, Tales of the Jedi, it has gotten better. And now I want an original trilogy era and the Clone War style, like Luke, Han, Leia. Like, we need that. We need that. Okay? Alright, again, thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Thanks for buying. May the Lord and may the Force be with you guys. Always love you guys. Peace out, guys.